All right. Hello, everybody. And as you can see, I have Andrew with me from Funnelheads. It's been a long time. Let me get right into saying hello to everybody because I know there's a bunch of people in chat here. Just want to make sure I do that so I don't forget anybody. We had Rick checking in first today, and then right behind Rick was Seg. So congrats, guys, on being the first two. And Mary got the bronze medal. Was the third one to check in. We had Jimbo from Memphis is here once again. Good to see you. Justin is here. Let's see, Marianne. Okay, there's little conversations going on. And Ken, and Ken, I got to thank you. And we're going to get to the team here in just a second. But I know you were a generous donation there, and I really appreciate that. Marianne, as I mentioned, Yoli is here, and Yoli just got a shirt for me. Glad that went through. Nick is back once again. Good to see you, Nick. And Carnival Cruise Addicts is here. And yeah, so what I am going to do, and I'm gonna put it in the comments right here, and then I'm going to share it with you all. And by no means, no obligation. But the reason I mentioned Ken is because he gave a very nice donation to the girls. What I just put in there, it's a GoFundMe. I don't want any super chats today. And Mandy's here. What's going on? And Michael, good to see you. I don't want any super chats today. If you were thinking about giving a super chat, I want you to give it to my girls. If you look at the link there, there's a GoFundMe page, and we've been raising money for them to get a nice meal. There's a nice steakhouse here. I wanted to take them to. I have 6 girls that started flag football in our state, one of the first 20 schools in the state to start flag football, and now they're graduating this year. So I wanted to do something a little special for them. And on a teacher salary, didn't quite have the money, so I did a GoFundMe page. So many people have been awesome. And then I said if there's any extra, we were going to try to get the girls some team gear. So they've been picking out hoodies, like a hoodie jacket kind of thing that they want. And so we're nearing the end of our goal. If we go a little bit over, we'll have some extra pizza one day or something after school. I don't know, but yeah, no super chats today unless you want to give to my girls team. And if you do, it's going to work just like the super chat. But what I'll need you to do is put in the comments what your donation was. So if you're going to donate tonight and you're donating, say, $10 to the GoFundMe, let me know in the comments, hey, I just donated $10 to the girls. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write you in just like you gave a $10 super chat. Okay. So that's how I'm going to do that today. And yeah, so if you want to give anything for me, give it to the girls instead tonight. That's how we're going to do that. Now, so let's get back to everything. Oh, by the way, though, I still will. If anybody does a $15 GoFundMe for the girls, I'll do my double and throw it in my glass here. And then after that, I will do my individual shots for 15. And you see this dog here, little Zoe, that's clawing up my arm. She's been getting some little handouts right now. But if anybody gives a $10 donation to the girls, Zoe will get a treat. So you get to treat a girls team and a girl dog. All right. So let's get to business here. The topic of the day is pros and cons of the XL class on Carnival. That is for those people that might be new to cruising, or maybe you've booked a cruise or thinking of booking a cruise. That is the Carnival Mardi Gras, the current flagship, the Carnival Celebration, and the soon-to-be flagship of Carnival. That would be the Carnival Jubilee. Now, Andrew's an excellent person to have on the show because as a matter of fact, it seemed like he lived on the Mardi Gras for about a month. So he has a lot of knowledge of, especially the very first Carnival XL class ship. So he can tell you what he thinks his pros and cons are. I'll go through some of the things I think are pros and cons. And yeah, we'll go there. Eric from North Shores Traveler. Tim was another one. Thank you for your donation there. We got Josh from Moonlight Adventures, Sunset Rescue. Good evening from beautiful mountains of North Carolina. Very nice. I like to see that. And that's where you're at, right, Andrew? Or you're South Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah, South
4
Carolina.
hours from North Carolina, mountains of North Carolina, 4 hours.
Okay, so check this out. Carnival Cruise Addicts just made the first one, $15 donation for the girls. And so you are numbers 1 through 15 because I believe Mandy last week capped us in our. Yep, she did. She had the one. So we're starting a brand new list here, and I got my double shot here. And let me take some more. I got to make some room in this drink to put the shot.
Life's hard.
It's gonna be a strong drink here, but I do have some Coke. I got my Coke here, so I'll mix a little bit. The Carnival Cruise Addicts, thank you for that. Thank you on behalf of the girls. And I was telling Andrew, so since we're talking about the girls here, we're taking them to this place called Fogo de Chao. And I know all the states, depending on where you are, some of you may know that type of place, but it's a Brazilian steakhouse. And it's a nice, very nice restaurant. It's all you can eat. It's one of these places where they walk around and they have all these different meats, and they have chefs walking around with, say, lamb chops. And they'll say, would you like a lamb chop? Would you like a couple lamb chops? And you say yes. And they, put them on your plate. Somebody will come around with some filet mignon or something like that. And they're like, would you like some filet mignon? Yes, please, and they'll put that on your plate. And it's just, it's an indulgence, obviously. Almost all the girls have never done anything like this. And I wanted to do something more for them besides just pizza. That's about what I can afford on a teacher's salary. So I did this GoFundMe page, and everybody has just been so generous and helping out the girls, and so much so that we're ordering them some team type jackets with their name and number embroidered and stuff in it. And the reason especially with these girls, not only are they fabulous girls, but flag football is a new sport. As a matter of fact, you may have heard in the news, it's going to be in the 2028 Olympics now. Oh, wow. And in our state, it just started 3 years ago, and it was a pilot program. They asked our school to be one of the schools. So we were one of the first 20 schools to start flag football in the state of Illinois. And these girls were part of that. So I thought they deserved this little something more. And so Carnival Cruise Addicts, thank you for that. And oh, look at that. Michael just did 20. And then, you know what? Please, because usually these light up because they're super chats. Mm-hmm. So if I miss one, please, multiple people, even if let me know. But Michael Garcia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So you are going to be 16 through 35, and I owe you a shot. And I think we're going to finish the smoke wagon here. And we owe Zoe here a treat for Carnival Cruise Addicts. High five for Carnival Cruise Addicts. And then Michael will have one coming too. So she'll go eat that. And then I'll be caught up on mine. And let's see. Ken is going to Fogo for his birthday at the end of the month. Heck yeah. That's where I went for my birthday last year too, Ken. It's a great place. They have them in Vegas. Obviously, they have them here. But Michael, thank you. And Sherry, look, everybody, we have Sherry back. And Sherry, thank you so much for that. And I will put that toward the girls. Let's see, 36. So you're going to be 36 through 85, Sherry. And Sherry, for those of you that are regulars, you know that she had a very big surgery, a month or so back, and has just been battling and trying to get healthy and recover and everything. So been chatting back and forth with her once or twice a week, and she's starting to feel better, getting stronger, getting healthier. So that is absolutely great to see, and great to see you back on, Sherry. And thank you so much for that. And I'm gonna have a lot of drinking to do here. I caught up with Mike, and Mike, here is for Zoe. High five for Mike. Another high five. All right. So you got another beef stick going there. And yeah, Sherry says, thanks, Tim. It's been a rough recovery. Yeah. And she not only is she recovering from that, but she had some flu or something that complicated things. So she just got over that. But then unfortunately, her husband Jay is battling it now. Tammy, hello, how are you doing? And thanks for joining. Okay, so let's get back into the carnival celebration. We got off track there. And Sherry, I did not forget, I owe you a shot too. And actually, that's going to be Buffalo Trace. But the Carnival Mardi Gras. Let's start with the Carnival Mardi Gras, because I mentioned at the beginning, Andrew he was the first. He went on the Mardi Gras well before I did, and was on there. I think it was 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, all different periods. I think we were on there for the first New Year's Eve, which was amazing. Then we went back on it for the 50th celebration. And then we went on it, I think it was for all of our birthdays. So anyway, it was like a couple months in between each week. So it wasn't like back to back to back, which would have been awesome as well. But yeah, we love that ship, and we can't wait to get on some of the sister ships and even get back on that ship. So
now, would you say there's any con to?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's always cons with everything, right? So I think the pros definitely, outdo the cons in this situation by far. But I mean, just a couple things off of my head is going to be, the venue sizes for the XL classes, as far as like comedy clubs and piano bar and even the main showrooms. They just don't quite hold enough guest capacity for the show times that they have. And the system is basically you have to get there super early in order to get, a seat at a show, especially if you want to get a good seat. I'm not just talking about a seat. So, with bigger ships comes more people comes more crowd. So I think that's one of the main factors as far as the cons, on the XL class. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah. And I'll chime in on that. Right. I'll do this t-shirt drawing. We just went over 100 North Shore travelers, $20 to the GoFundMe for the girls team. And yeah, that got us to 100. And the North Shore, you were also 1 through 8 on our next drawing. And the way we're starting off tonight, heck, we might give away a second shirt here. So Carnival Cruise Addicts, you're 1 through 15. Michael Garcia, 16 through 35. Sherry is 36 through 85. And Shane is 86 through 87. He's feeling lucky. He thinks 86 or 87 is going to pop. He might be right. And North Shore Travelers is 88 through 100. And again, Eric, you are also numbers 1 through 8. So I'm going to say, Siri, give me a random number 1 through 100, and we will see what Siri says. Siri, give me a number 1 through 100.
My phone is going off.
Siri, give me a random number 1 through 100. All right, the number is 52. I think everybody can see that. So look at that. Sherry is the winner. I got a shirt coming for you, Sherry, and thank you so much for that contribution. And I'm going to be plugging that toward the girls flag football team at my school. So thank you so much for that. As a matter of fact, on the 29th, that's when we're going to have our meal, and I'm ordering their jackets, hoodies, whatever, tomorrow. So we got that in the process. So thank you for that. All right, let's say hi to a few more people, because a few more people checked in. I mentioned Mandy already. Will G is here. Ooh, Will G got a hold of some Eagle Rare bourbon.
Mm.
That's a good score there, Will. And let's see, we got Bruce from Ocean to Ocean. Tammy is only 53 days until the MG. I think I owe you one. Let's see. Oh, I do. This is from North Shore Travelers. and North Shore, Eric, I owe you. There you go. Leave me alone for a while. And Eric, I owe you a shot too. Y'all are gonna get me drunk tonight. Sunset Rescue, I mentioned. Shane, yo, what? Oh my goodness, are you serious, Yoli?
Amazing.
Am I reading that wrong? You mean $5 or that? Oh my goodness, if that is what I think it is, wow, Yoli. I mean, just wow. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, tell me what shirts you want. You won. We'll just send them on over. We'll get an assortment pack. Or wow, Yoli, thank you so much for that. You put a lot. Wow, yeah, the girls are gonna be. I'll tell you what, they're not just gonna get the tops now. They're gonna get the bottoms. They're gonna get the whole warm up suit and everything. It was just the jackets with their names and everything, which I know that have been happy with. But wow, yeah, they're going to be just so tickled when I tell them that. And wow, thank you so much for that. I can't even wait to tell them. I'm going to post that in our little team page at the end of the show, and they're just going to lose their minds. So, that is awesome. Thank you. Yeah. That I completely lost my train of thought. I think we were talking about the XL class and in the XL ships and everything. And yeah, I mean, I know you were talking a little bit about the crowds, and for the most part, it's positive. And you mentioned the shows. That's one of the things I know on the Mardi Gras. I honestly, have you been on the celebration or just the Mardi Gras?
Just the Mardi Gras. Yeah.
Okay. So I've been on both of them, and I got to tell you, and you told me about these shows before I'd even seen them, but Voodoo Moon and Love in Vegas. Now, the hype on the Most Magnificent Circus on the Carnival celebration was through the roof. And after seeing Voodoo Moon and Love in Vegas, I'm like, wow, it sounds like this Most Magnificent Circus is even better than, the other two shows, Love in Vegas and Voodoo Moon. So I don't know if it was just the hype and how much I enjoyed Voodoo Moon and Love in Vegas, and them using the aerial acrobats and everything else like that. But the Most Magnificent Circus didn't quite meet my expectations. Now it was great. It was great, but it didn't quite meet my expectations. And I know that doesn't necessarily have everything to do with the XL class ship,
right.
But it is one of the perks because since they use 3 levels of flooring, and then they have the freedom to do, the aerial acrobats and things like that. So that is definitely a pro, being able to have those more wild, aerial acrobatics and things like that. You can't do that on a smaller ship, obviously,
right.
because it's just too much. So, okay, so let's see here. Yoli, we're like I said, you just tell me what shirts you want, and I'm not even gonna put, I wouldn't even know what to put down there. So Rick, thank you. Let me put Rick's up here. Let's see. So Rick, you are 9 through 18. And by the way, speaking of Rick, I didn't know that Rick was a writer. Rick talked about cruising, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but it was like 30 years ago and the evolution of cruising and stuff like that. And it was posted in a Texas paper, and he shared it on my site, and he also shared it on Island Time. So if anyone wants to check those articles out, you could go to either Island Time or Coach Cruise on Facebook, and you will be able to see Rick's article that he wrote on the evolution of cruising. It's very well done. So nice job with that. Oh, oh, yeah, Eric's trying to I won't make it to work. I won't be able to teach tomorrow, Eric, if I drink the whole bottle. But yeah, I guess I do owe a couple shots here, don't I? Uh, yeah, absolutely, Tim. Absolutely. Um, yeah, and wow, yeah. So I'm like I said, I'm pumped to share with the girls after this. Yeah, and Tim says yes, Rick. Nice article. So there we go. Shane says, really have no desire to sail the XL class. Just seems like too many people love the Spirit class. And since I'm glad you brought that up, Shane, um, because it is a good comparison. Now, one of the things that's definitely a pro of a ship like the Spirit class is everything is convenient, right? You know where everything is, the layout of the ship. Uh, I mean, I guess you get to it's a little homier. What would you say some of the pros of the Spirit class would be,
Well,
Andrew?
I mean, just coming off of the Carnival Pride here recently, I mean, we love the Spirit class. I mean, now we've been on the Pride, the Legend, the Miracle. I think that's all of them out of the Spirit. But I mean, just the fact that it's a more intimate setting, you can actually get to the shows, pretty much as the show starts and still find a seat. I mean, it might not be the best seat, but you can still find one. It's easier to talk with the crew. They're not as busy, but are still giving you that 6 level service. You actually can become friends with them, get to know them, get to know their story. They can learn a little bit more about you. I feel like on the XL classes and even some of the other ships to a certain point, it's like they're still serving you at a very high level. Everyone's super nice, but it's like they're just trying to get to the next guest to help them. And they're just trying to get you out of the way in the most polite way possible. So I really do tend to enjoy the mid-size ships to the smaller ships more so than the XL class. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the XL class. If you told me tomorrow that I'm going on any of those ships, I'd be jumping for joy. But I do prefer some of the other ships, that are a little bit smaller. So
Yeah. You know what? And actually, when you were talking there, I'm like, excellent point because on the XL class, and you've been on the Mardi Gras, so it's the same layout, same everything. But if you go to the Alchemy Bar, for example, they have an extra bartender. Usually on most of the other Carnival ships, it's like 3 bartenders, but you have at least 4 on the Alchemy Bar up there. But yeah, it's so true. It's so busy that you don't get. I mean, one of my favorite places to be is the Alchemy Bar for a lot of the personal interaction with the bartenders. They're so personable usually, and it's not that they're not personable on the XL class ships. It's just, as Andrew mentioned, they're so busy. There's so many people to serve and everything. They don't have time to talk and goof around and stuff like they do on some of those smaller ships. So you don't get that personal connection as much on some of the XL class ships. And to that point, I remember being on the Celebration most recently, and there was a lot of times where those bartenders and stuff, even though I love the drinks at the Alchemy Bar, Latitudes on the Celebration, that's where the fortune tellers and the Mardi Gras in that same general area. But I enjoyed the bartenders there, and it reminded me of some of that personal interaction and goofing around and stuff that you would typically get in an Alchemy Bar because they weren't quite as busy.
yeah.
And so I often found myself going down there just because it was a little more fun, because it wasn't as crowded, and you could hang out and kind of goof around with the bartenders, and that's always a good time. So yeah, that's an excellent point on that one.
And to add to that just a little bit, not even like the crew, but like me and Michelle, we love meeting people, other guests, especially, on these cruises. Me and Michelle met on a cruise. We've met, some of our best friends that have been to our wedding. We've been to their weddings on cruises, still keep in touch with them to this day. So for us, it's, a big thing to meet people. And on XL class ships, it's like sometimes you won't even see the same person but once, maybe twice, because there's so many places to go to see. Typically, people are only going to be on these ships for 7 nights. They're not really longer than that at the moment, anyway. So it's like you're not getting to connect with other guests as much either. So I find that as an issue. And then Sunset Rescue, I think was the name. She mentioned that, you know, you can't really do everything on the ship in one cruise. And that's a great point. You absolutely can. I mean, after being on the Mardi Gras for 3 weeks in totality, we almost did everything. I think we got to maybe like 95% of the items that we wanted to do. And, you know, that's kind of like a pro and a con, because, yeah, there's so much to do. But at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to get off of the ship after a vacation and not be able to do some of the things that you really wanted to do? So,
Right. No, I agree with that. Well, Rick, for your $10, you're taking care of Zoe here, and I appreciate that because she's tearing my arm up. So high five for Rick. And then we have another one coming from Trisha. And before we get to that, though, Yoli, I'm not going to do whatever it would be about 40 shots, you know, because I die from alcohol poisoning. But we'll start with the one. Yoli, for those of you just joining, I just shared the GoFundMe page, and we are well over the goal now. The girls are going to find out after this that not only are they getting like this hoodie jacket thing that they wanted that has their name and number embroidered, but they're also going to get some like warm-up pants or sweatpants or whatever to go with it. Courtesy, we've had over $600 in donations to the GoFundMe page. A huge donation from Yolanda Yoli of $500 for the girls. And I just can't wait to hear their reactions or see their reactions in our little teammates comment post. So Yoli, cheers and thank you once again. That is unbelievably awesome. It's like Zoe wants to do a shot too. And Trisha, for Zoe here for your $10 donation. High five for Trisha. All right, she's ready. She must not have ate much today because she is going after these treats. Yeah. So okay. Next thing I wanted to ask about, Andrew, is because I know you partake in this quite a bit, having a young child or whatever. But that's the pools. How's the pool situation on the XL class by comparison to some of the smaller ships? Is that more of a pro or more of a con or kind of the same?
It's kind of the same, although some different classes you could say, you know, are much better than the XL class. Like, for instance, the Spirit class. We find the Spirit class to be amazing with the pool setup. I mean, of course, you have, you know, your Serenity for the adults, but to have the two pools on the Lido deck, you know, retractable roof over the one, outdoor pool on the other. I mean, there's not much better that they can do as far as that. And for the amount of guests that are on a Spirit class ship compared to an XL class, it'll get busy, you know, if you're going to warm weather or whatnot, but it's not as super packed, you know, tin can tight as the XL class could be. And then, of course, they've got, you know, the waterworks as well, you know, up there. So it really just depends. But yeah, XL class, I feel like they need at least one more non-adult pool. I do love the summer landing area. It's a little tucked out of the way, so a lot of people just go to the Lido deck because that's what they're used to. So we found that the summer landing pool wasn't as busy, but you're also missing out on a lot of the Lido activity games, you know, the live music, whether it's, you know, the DJ or the our favorite, which is the steel drum. So you are missing out on a lot of what's going on the ship if you're down there compared to the Lido. So I wish there was a way that they could add one more pool somewhere on the Lido deck.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I know you said one more non-adult pool. That is one thing they did that, from adults perspective was really nice,
Mhm.
on the Serenity deck, having a pool, because most Serenity decks don't have a pool. It's usually
Yeah.
just hot tubs. So that was one nice thing. One thing I thought though is that, that Serenity pool is usually so packed. They could have made the pool bigger. I don't know if
Mhm.
that has to do with, you know, engineering or whatever, like they're not able to have a bigger pool or something like that. But it is what it is. Now you made reference to this earlier, and I know before I went on the XL class the first time myself, you had made this point, and you said you felt like you needed at least 2, maybe 3 weeks to really do the
Mhm.
XL class ship, the Mardi Gras in that case, justice, or how you should do it. And
Right.
I couldn't agree more with that. The most recent video I did was all the different places to eat on the XL class ship. And I started at deck 18 with the salad bar,
Right.
in the Serenity deck. And then I went down floor by floor, hitting all of the different places that you could eat. And then once I got all the way through them, I'm like, wow, there's over 20 different places to eat
Yeah.
on the Carnival XL class. So, I mean, if you're on a 7-day cruise, you would have to go to 3 different places a day. And I mean, not all of these places are open for breakfast.
Right.
So it's not like you can even, count that most of the time. You have limited places that you can go for breakfast. But yeah, I mean, it makes it almost impossible to eat in a week. You
Yeah.
couldn't, I mean, technically you could do it, of course,
Right.
but it's realistically you can't do it. So
Yeah.
you do need almost 2 weeks, maybe 3, to really experience all the different food and maybe all the different things there are to do. What are your thoughts on that?
No, 100%. And I mean, we wanted to eat at all the places, and even in the 3 weeks, we didn't get to eat at all of them. And I mean, we could have, obviously, realistically, but of course, with a kid, some nights it just doesn't happen. As far as like some of the dinner places, but like one place we really wanted to try was Rudy's Sea Grill. Never made it there, so hopefully we can get there once we get back on the XL class. But at the same point with a lot of the shows and entertainment, not even the shows, just all the different entertainment around the ship. I mean, you're going to miss out on something because you really want to see, a show in the main theater, but something else is going on upstairs on the Lido deck, maybe, the mega deck party or something, and vice versa. So, like, you can only fit so much in the day, and there's so many different things going off at the same time. You physically can't be 2 places at once, although cruise directors make it look easy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're just missing out on a lot. But I mean, again, it could be a good thing, right? There's so much to do, so
Yeah.
it's pros and cons, right?
No, real quick, I do have a con on the XL class ship, and you just made me remember it because you said the Mecha Deck party. A lot of the smaller ships, believe it or not, you would think, and it's XL ship, they're going to have a huge main deck area, but
Hmm.
it's not the case. I mean, their deck area where they have their deck parties and everything is smaller than what you would find on the smaller ships. For example, like the Vista, it still has a relatively generous, deck space, but a lot of these smaller ships, they have a huge deck space area, where you can do, the line dances and, the sail away parties and everything. But you get on these XL class ships, they got the big long pool in the middle and everything. And I mean, there's not a lot of room
Yeah.
to operate. So if you go, when I'm going up there filming, some of these mecha deck parties, I'm like, wow, this is really kind of cramped in here. And basically people are filtering around the pool area. And then there's just that one little area, right in front of the DJ booth. And it's not a lot of space. So, the deck parties, I think, can't quite reach what they would on some of the smaller ships. So that is definitely a con. Eric, thank you for that. He's saying, don't forget to hit the like button. Yeah, so if you can hit that like button now. And welcome, Richard and Ann. They said, finally here. And hello, everybody. And anybody else that may have just joined, while you're hitting that like button, if you're wondering what's going on and you see the message on the screen there, Yolanda uh, donated a massive, awesome donation for my girls' flag football team. We were trying to raise money for them to go to a nice dinner. I'm a public school, and a lot of the girls not blessed with wealthy households and things like that. So many of them haven't been to very nice restaurants. So we're taking them there, and then we're not only that, but we've gotten to the point where we were able to get them some like jackets, with their names embroidered, their numbers and everything. And with Yoli's donation, plus we have over $100 in donations from everybody else. I don't want to lose sight of that. Carnival Cruise Addicts, Michael Garcia, Sherry Bell, Shane, Eric from North Shore Travelers, Rick Wade, and Trisha. Thank all of you. But yeah, any donations that go today, I put the link up there, the GoFundMe link. I'd prefer you put it there. I mean, if you don't, it's fine. We'll work it out. Just because, YouTube, they take a big cut, and the GoFundMe, that pretty much most of that, like 95% of that, goes directly to the fundraiser thing. So yeah, this is awesome. All right. Well, let's see. We talked about food. We talked about the decks. Is there anything pros versus cons? That the entertainment, I'll speak on that again. That's one of the best things. Well, and backtracking to the food a little bit. You mentioned Rudy Sea Grill and how you wanted to go check that out, and I have checked that out. One thing I'll say in regards to the specialty dining, so like Cucina de Capitano, that is a charge on almost all. It is on all other ships except for the XL class. Now they don't have the, as extensive a menu, at least, the same items that you pay for, on other cruise ships, but they do have several of them, like chicken Parmesan or veal Parmesan, for example. You can still get that, and it's free, on the Cucina. And then not only that, but because the ships are so big and they hold so many people, they can't fit everybody in the MDR. And that's one of the reasons why you get to eat places like Cucina for free. And then on the nights, elegant nights, when they serve the lobster and stuff, you can still get that lobster in Cucina. And maybe there's not going to be as long of a line or long of a wait because you have that option. So yeah, that's definitely a perk. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Andrew? Or
I do love the fact that you can, obviously they can't do it on other class ships because they don't have some of these same free, specialty restaurants on the other class ships. But I love the, on the phone, the Carnival Hub app, where you can do your time dining, and then you basically do like a roulette. It's like whatever's free first, you can either eat at, the main dining room, Cucina, Chibang, or Guys Pig and Anchor, and it's just whatever table is available first, that's where you're going to go. And I always like poke fun at Michelle. I'm like, well, we don't have to argue where we're going to eat tonight because it's going to decide for us. I wish you could have that app in real life, but yeah, so I do love that as far as food goes.
Yeah, and you know what? Shane asked a good question here, and I think the answer is no, but maybe you can chime in on it. Do any XL class ships stop at tender ports? At every cruise that I've been on, and I've been on the Mardi Gras at least twice, and I've been on the Celebration 3 times, I want to say.
I don't think so, but
I don't ever remember needing to take a tender on an XL class. They've always gone to a dock and been able to walk off. So
the only one I can think of is like if it went to Half Moon Key, but I don't think it goes there. So
yeah, I don't think it does.
I don't think so either.
And I mean, I've never heard of one going to Belize. And honestly, I've seen some smaller ships struggle, and them turning up a lot of sand and stuff, when they start the engines. So I think that's something that they don't want to mess around with one of the huge ships and worry about getting it up on. Will says it doesn't go there.
Yeah, That's what I thought.
It's like you've never eaten. She is all over these treats. She's like crawling up on my leg and everything. I mean, people have been hooking her up today, and she's she's acting like she hadn't been fed in a week. Um, let's see. Finally made it, Robert. Good to see you. Finally made it. He says, "Hello, everyone." That is Robert Estes. And okay, so yeah, you know what though? Speaking of that, could that be a con? I guess.
I think so because I mean it basically goes to the same ports all the time, and that's another struggle too. Is because we went 3 times, and now we're like, well, I don't want to go to the same places over and over again, even though they're amazing. You want to kind of change it up a little bit, which Celebration Key will be nice when that comes available because the XL class ships can port there 2 at once. So that gives them another option. But yeah, that's definitely a con, right? Because you have the mid-sized ships and the smaller ships being able to dock pretty much all over the world at relatively large ports, and if they can't dock there, then they can drop anchor and you can tender with either a third-party service or have the lifeboats drop in the water and they can take guests ashore. So yeah, I would say that's definitely a con.
Right. And actually, Will was reading my mind because that's what I was thinking. It says maybe once Belize gets its new port, the Jubilee will go there, or any of the other XL class ships. But yeah, that pier in Belize is really coming along. I mean, I've seen it on 2 different occasions, and there was a good gap in between those occasions, and you could definitely see some real progress going on that new pier where you'll actually be able to dock. And certainly, I'm sure they're building those piers large enough to, house some of these XL class ships and, get more cruise passengers, because that's a country that can definitely use that tourism dollar. I remember when cruising first came back, Belize was one of the stops, and the Vista was going there once a week, and the people just were, starving for some kind of tourism, to generate, some money or whatever. So that one day a week, I mean, all the people that depended on tourism were, just all over the port area, trying to cater to, all the cruisers, understandably during the COVID and when we first came back to cruising. So that makes a lot of sense. And Belize, for those of you that are going to Belize anytime soon, if you've only gone into the port area, we say this a lot, but Belize is a beautiful port. You just have to get out and go on some of the excursions, like Caye Caulker, for example. If you go take a water taxi up there or just take an excursion up there, they have Shark Ray Alley. That's where these nurse sharks are. And I know sharks is the scary term, but they're like catfish. They look like catfish in the face, and they can't hurt you, but you're basically can stand up in the water. It's almost that shallow with sharks swimming around, but sharks that aren't dangerous. So it's really cool. And the stingrays and things like that swimming around. And the coral formations are absolutely beautiful, and the water is crystal clear. It's a really cool, experience there. So yeah, Belize is a nice spot. And then, Andrew just mentioned Half Moon Cay. And I don't know whether we were talking about this off air or on, but I think you said your parents just got off the Venezia, and I'm going on the Venezia in June. And I mean, that ship just looks amazing.
Brad, what week are you going in June?
I'm going actually 2 8 days back to back, June 18th through the 26th, I want to say, and then June 26th through July 4th.
Dang, I just booked. We're the 10th. We're right before you.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Bump it back a week.
I'll see what I can do. Maybe we can always add on to it too.
Yeah, there you go. They'll let you bump it back a week.
I should have looked at my notes and checked with you.
Yeah. Oh, but before I go any further here, so normally I do a shot for every $15, and sometimes some of you are very generous and you do more than that, 25, 50, something like that. But I can't do near the shots that it would take for 500. But for those joining late, Yoli contributed $500 to my girls' flag football team to take them out to a nice steak dinner. And then also we're getting them some hoodies, some jackets with their names and football number embroidered. And now we're going to be able to get them something they didn't even ask for or expect. And we'll get them the bottoms to go along with that too. So Yoli, this is, I think, the second or third shot. I can't remember, but y'all are going to get me drunk tonight. But that's a good shot. That is Buffalo Trace. And so thank you again for that. Ben is checking in. What's going on, Ben? And Sherry, I didn't know you were still here, but it's awesome that you are. Sherry is saying good night to everybody. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Sherry had battled back from a tough surgery, getting stronger, getting healthier, finally starting to feel herself. So that's been great news. And it was great having you back on again, Sherry, today. And congratulations, Sherry won the shirt today. Yes. I owe you another shirt, Sherry. You just let me know what color, size you want, and we will get that sent out to you. Let's see here. Shane says, off topic, just curious, how did you two meet? Well, Shane, we met officially on a cruise ship, right?
Yeah, on the Horizon, I think it was.
Just briefly, but like we barely did, well, hadn't really even known each other well. It's like I would say we got to know each other more off the cruise ship.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like one of those. We met briefly a few times during the cruise, and we basically just both first started our YouTube channels like at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of how we started talking to each other. But when we first met, I think Rhett was maybe 2.5. So he was super small still. So Brad's got me jealous when he's doing all of his pub crawls all over the ship. And me and Michelle are walking with the baby up and down the guest hallways to try to put him down for a nap. But yeah, we didn't really start talking until afterwards and kind of running ideas past each other. And now we talk.
Well, hey, now if you bump that Venezia back, we can definitely get some.
Yeah, no, I'm going to look at that following week.
Would Michelle be up for the suck my beer competition?
Oh, I'm sure she would.
That would be hilarious if you two got involved in win that. You could win 2 ships on a stick potentially.
Yeah, Little Man would definitely have to
wins the female portion and you win the male portion. That's hilarious, though. I'm going to try to incorporate that in all the future bar crawls, but I love that the last bar crawl we did. That was a lot of fun. So, all right. So, yeah, for anybody joining late, if you didn't read the topic or you read into it, we've been talking about the XL class and the pros and cons. Andrew and I are pretty much in agreement on this. We both have really enjoyed the XL class. I've been on both the Mardi Gras and the Celebration. I love the food options. I don't know if I fully expanded on this thought, but one of the things I was going to say about specialty dining is obviously the specialty dining is great. You get some great food and everything, but because there are so many options to choose from food-wise, it's almost like you don't even feel like you need to go spend that extra money on some of these specialty dining places because, it's one of those things like, well, we haven't even eaten at this place yet, or we haven't eaten at this place, or we haven't eaten at this place. Let's go eat there. And if, we get through all those places, then let's book some specialty dining. Yeah. Like when you're on some of the smaller ships, there aren't as many selections or choices as far as food goes. So it's a little easier to book that specialty dining, if you want a little, step it up in quality a little bit, and get some better food and things like that. Now, that being said, I will say this. I'm always a fan of I'm always a fan of the steakhouse. I don't care whether it's XL class or small class or, whatever, spirit class. I'm always going to go to the steakhouse at least once. Yes. Ann says she's 32 days until they're on the Mardi Gras and there's a bar crawl, and I'll be wearing the Coach Cruise shirt. Love that. Let's get that on the board. Can put it on. And that, for those of you, most of you aren't from the Chicago area, but there used to be, somebody from the dark side. That's the White Sox fans. There used to be this announcer called Hawk Harrelson, and he would say, "You can put it on the board, yes." When somebody hits a home run or whatever. So that's what I was just thinking of when I saw it. Read that 32 days until we were on the Mardi Gras, and there's a bar crawl. They're wearing the Coach Cruise short. Put it on the board. I like it. Is that me dinging or is that you dinging?
I think it's coming through me. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I was just gonna try to figure out where that was coming from. I got a couple would you rathers, and Andrew, you can join in on this too if you'd like. Because the Venezia, as we mentioned, is leaving out, and it's not an XL class ship; it's a Vista class ship, but I'm going on it, so that's why I'm mentioning it. And it leaves out of New York City. Now, I have left out of New York. Have you left out of New York before, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a cool experience, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Going by the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for those of you that haven't, or if you have, I guess it doesn't really matter. Where would you rather leave out of port? New York City. So you get to go by the skyline, go by the Statue of Liberty, which I think is the biggest highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather leave out of Miami? Miami is a beautiful skyline. It's more the tropical scenery, and you get to go along that highway there, and it's that South Beach feel. So would you rather leave out of port New York City or Miami? So put in the comments, everybody. We got about 30 people online right now. And let's
be interesting.
See what you think. Carnival Cruise Addict says Miami. Mandy says Miami. Rick says New York. Ken is Miami. Shane says New York. So far, it's pretty even. Jimbo, Miami. Miami is leading. Tim says New York. Done, Miami. That's why he wants to do New York. I can appreciate that. Jimbo says Miami. Seg says New York.
That's close.
It is close, yeah. If another, look at that, Ben. Thank you. And I'm running out of treats for Zoe. So, I had a whole plate of treats. I was like, I don't know why I put so many treats on here. And we've gotten through them all, mostly because I keep giving them. She's like hounding me over here. Let's see. Ben 29 through 38. Naughty Cruiser is here. I'm going to put Ben's donation up there. And he says New York because he has yet to do it. Kind of what Tim was saying, North Shore. New York would be a nice change. Will says Miami. I tell you what, I think Miami might have won, but I don't know. We got like 4 of the last 5 were New York. So that's about as close as you can get. What would you say there?
It's a hard one if it's just based off of destination, but like thought comes in my mind is like, what time of year are we leaving? Because that's a big part. It could be super cold when you're leaving from New York at a certain part of the year, and now that the Venencia is there year round. And then the other thing is, the New York cruises, they typically really only visit a handful of islands, in the Caribbean. So I would, based off of that, I would just say Miami, because you can go a lot farther in 6, 7, 8 nights than you can leaving from New York going 6, 7, or 8 nights. Although New York does go to Bermuda, so that would be nice. I would have to say Miami on this one, though.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I because of an incident that occurred in late June, I got to see Miami at nighttime. We didn't get out of port until after midnight.
That's
so
right.
To see the skyline at night. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wanted to get on the ship at 10:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. But the silver lining was being able to see the skyline of Miami and leaving at like midnight, to see the Miami lit up. I'd never seen it like that, so that was really cool. North Shore Traveler says that if Andrew can change his cruise to the 18th, I can try and convince the wife to cruise with you guys.
Oh snap!
3-channel collaboration.
It'd be a
Heck yeah.
hot mess cruise.
Make it happen. See, well, he just put double pressure on you, Andrew.
Yeah, right. If anything, we would just add on, I think, because we got such a stellar deal on the one before.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, so we could do a combined 24 days. So you're on 8 days before us, then I'll be on the next 16 days. So you go the first 16 days, and I'll go, the middle and the last 8 days.
We're doing one thing we've never done before. We're doing a side-by-side, but with different cruise lines. So we're actually leaving on MSC Meraviglia, June 2nd, I think it is, coming back, staying in a hotel one night, and then going on the Venecia. So
Ben and Controversial Cruising, hello. Rick said New York because of the 911 museum. Carnival Cruise Addicts wants to know, at Funnelheads, when's your next cruise?
We are going right now anyway. I'm sure this will change, but our next one is on the Carnival Elation for 5 nights. And that is March, I think. March 9th, I want to say.
And Naughty is here. Naughty, if you still want to jump on, I mean, I know we only got a few minutes here, but hop on. I had invited Naughty because I know he has been most recently the Celebration. So I had invited him on, and him and Moonlight Cruising, Moonlight Adventures, Josh and Chastity, they're doing a podcast. Him and Moonlight Adventures are doing a podcast together, and they had me on as a guest, and they had most recently Tony from Lolita Loca. And I was watching that last week, and that was a great episode. Far greater than mine, I'm sure. But no, I mean, Tony, he had some really great information to share in terms of cruise creators and just the whole industry and everything else. It was really good video. So for those people that haven't checked out there, it's peer-to-peer, and correct me if I'm wrong, Naughty, peer-to-peer cruising or peer-to-peer travel or something like that. You can throw in the comments or jump on and tell us directly. But yeah, they're doing a podcast, and it's good stuff. It really is. Shane says Venezia sailing the inaugural Firenze. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, the Venezia. Controversial Cruising says, I'd like to know I'm not the only one who turns on YouTube before they even get changed. And Ann says, with all of your frequent cruisers, what kind of room do you get? Well, me and I'll tell you what, my best value room is what I call the 4J cabin. And on most ships, not the XL class, but all the ships below the XL class, most of your 4J cabins are on the front of the ship. And what a 4J cabin is, and this is why you watch shows like this, to get these, these little tidbits that can save you a lot of money. Now, sometimes these rooms are often bigger, right? Because they're not shaped the same little square or rectangle or whatever that all the other rooms are, because they're, in a rounded type thing. So you might get a larger room. But not only that, but you're at the front of the ship. So you've seen those big balconies at the front of the ship that sometimes you'll see people out there standing on looking. They're not used very much. And so they're called a shared balcony. It's not a private balcony. So there's rooms up in the front there. Now they'll have a window, and that window, you can see the ocean. You can see the front of the ship. But because it's not a straight on ocean view, they can't call that room an ocean view. All right. It's also not a balcony. Even though you have a giant balcony outside your window, you can't walk out the door to your balcony. So they can't call it a balcony. So it's considered somewhere in between an interior and an ocean view. Although you get the perks of a balcony, you get the perks of an ocean view, and it's an interior with a window, so you get the sunlight and everything else like that. And but it's just a little bit more than what an interior would cost. So that is a 4J cabin on Carnival. Your ships that are Vista class or lower, you can get a 4J cabin. So that is my preferred cabin type because it saves a lot of money, and I kind of get a little taste of everything. I get a little taste of a balcony, I get a little taste of an ocean view, I get a little taste of an interior. So, Anne, I gave you a very lengthy answer to your question. You may not wanted it to be that long, but that's what you got.
It's good information.
Yeah. Okay. I got another would you rather, and I think this might wrap it up. Where would you rather eat on embarkation day? So if you get there a day early, I know most of us like to get there a day early unless you're close enough to port that you can drive in the same day. Okay. No worries, Naughty. We're almost done now, but we'll get you on, if not next week, soon. So where would you rather eat? I can give you 3 choices here. Galveston, Texas. So you know the food in Texas and down in the Galveston area, Miami, or New Orleans. So we're talking about more like the food and the enjoying the night before you cruise. Where would you rather eat? New Orleans, Miami, or Galveston? Wow, look, jumped right out of the gate. Rick and Robert said Galveston, Galveston. Bam, bam. 2 Galvestons right out of the gate. Okay, then we got 2 New Orleans tied up 2-2. Galveston and New Orleans. Nobody said there's a Miami. Mandy says Miami. So it's 2-2-1. No, 3-2-1. New Orleans is at 3-2-1. 3 New Orleans, 2 Galvestons, 1 Miami so far. Okay, we are tied up. Galveston is 3, New Orleans is 3, and Miami is 1. Okay, we just had 3 Galvestons in a row. So Galveston has taken the lead. Wow. Honestly, I really thought that New Orleans was going to win this.
I would say if it was food and drinks, it would be New Orleans. But just food, I would probably go with Galveston.
So, okay. I like that Cajun food, the jambalaya, the oysters, everything else. So, like, what is everybody eating in Galveston? Because I mean, there's so many of you says Galveston. Okay, Naughty says New Orleans. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I would pick New Orleans.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that I've had bad food in Galveston or anything like that. I have had a good po' boy in Galveston, which is normally what I eat in New Orleans. So okay, Naughty Cruiser says sign me up for next week. I'll make it happen. All right, cool. So we'll probably have Naughty Cruiser on next week, and Andrew, you're welcome back next week too if you'd like to jump on. I don't know.
Find me and I'll be there.
And if anybody has a topic that they would like us to talk about, normally I think about the topics about 8 hours before showtime. Like, what are we going to talk about today? I'd like to tell you all that I'm a little bit more well planned out than that, but it's not so much. Oh, okay. So we got a lot of New Orleans that just bam. Oh, okay. Naughty's flooding the vote. Naughty, that's the Chicago way, stuff in the ballot box. Naughty's, voting more than once. He's just Naughty's being naughty. Naughty's being naughty. That's what's happening there. Rick says seafood is excellent. But shouldn't they have good seafood in New Orleans too? I think they do. I mean, that's where they got oysters and shrimp and jambalaya.
Yeah, I think both places have really good seafood.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong either way. And definitely, I know one thing that Texas does better than New Orleans, and that's barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, probably not so much in Galveston as
Right.
you would more Central Texas and stuff. But yeah, the the barbecue in Texas is like off the chain.
Mhm.
Funny story. Well, to me, it's funny. To you in Texas, you're like, okay, whatever. But went to Texas on a little trip many years ago. One of my first times to Texas, and Anita and I were we were actually looking for properties. We were considering moving to Texas. We were looking in the Austin area, and for those of you that live in Texas, I'm sure you've heard of this place, but at Rudy's, I guess it's a franchise or a chain or whatever. And we go down to this, and there was like a Rudy's, and it was like right next to this gas station or part of the gas station, and they had this barbecue, and I'm like, oh, and I saw all these people lined up getting this barbecue. And I'm like, it must be pretty good. We should try to get some barbecue here. And so, like, I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. All these different barbecue items. And so I'm like, I have in my mind what I want, and I get to the front, and the lady says, okay, what do you want? And I give her my order. Well, I like this and this and that. She's like, okay, how much bread do you want? I hadn't planned that out. I didn't know I was supposed to know how much bread I wanted. I'm like, what comes with it? Like,
Right.
how much bread am I supposed to get? No, how much bread do you want?
What is
Like
everything else get?
patient with me. Like, you need to give me a number here. Like, how many what do other people do? Like, I didn't know what answer, and so I was seriously stumped. I was totally a tourist there. And then after I finally solved that problem, or she just took pity on me and says, here, whatever, you're going to get this much, whether you like it or not.
Right.
Uh, while I was waiting for my order, I noticed other people, and she would ask them the same question, like, how much bread do you want? Oh, half a loaf, or the next person, give us a loaf. And she would slam a whole loaf of bread down on these people's trays. Like, they would get like a whole, like, still in the package, the plastic. She would just
Wow.
it wouldn't cost extra. It wouldn't cost extra. It was just like a loaf of bread or a half a loaf of bread, just bread on top of bread plus whatever barbecue they ordered. Like, there was no extra charge or anything. It was like one of the funniest things to me ever. Like, you're just giving away a loaf of
I
bread.
wouldn't know what to do. I'd just be like, I'd look to the next person behind me and be like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. So that's my little story there. Naughty Cruiser says, look forward to it next week. We can shoot the breeze and talk about all things cruising. Yeah, so it looks like we will have Naughty Cruiser on here next week, and maybe we'll have Andrew. But thank you all, and I mean, honest to God, you could have never, if we'd have raised $100, I'd have been tickled, for the girls. But we raised over $600. We started anew. We had just closed out a shirt giveaway last week. So everything this week was toward the girls. And we had that huge $500 donation from Yoli. So over $600. And those girls are going to get, a whole warm-up suit, jacket, hoodie, the sweatpants, the whole deal. And they're getting to go to a nice steakhouse and everything. So thank you, all of you that are part of that. And thanks. It's been a fun show. It's great having Andrew back.
Yeah.
Those of you that are regulars, I mean, Andrew's been on here a lot, but it's been the first time in a while. So it's great to see Andrew back, and we'll have a new guest next week for sure. It sounds like Naughty Cruiser Mike is going to join us. So yeah, tune in next week. But thank you, Andrew, and thank you, everybody. And it was a fun show today. Take care, everybody.
Catch you later.
All right.